Redditors, what's your biggest fear? My greatest fear is that no matter what I do I will never be able to be content and appreciative of the things I have in my life. I feel like as life goes on I become distanced further and further from my dreams and aspirations, and I slowly disconnect from people around me. I find a new thing or job that makes me happy at first, and over time I lose the feelings of joy that I originally associated it with that object, career path, etc. I start to wonder if the grass really is greener on the other side and start to become disillusioned with life. I follow this cycle over and over again, and I get worried that no matter what I do I will always be afraid of commitment to a career, friendship, etc., and will be chasing this feeling for the rest of my life and never truly find happiness. Apologies if that was a little disjointed, but it was kind of difficult to articulate this feeling. Failing, I feel like I'm under great pressure constantly to be the best in my class, as others would make fun of me when they got better grades than me in a test. It's basically the only thing I feel like I'm good at, and it hurts when I'm not up to other people's expectations. I have to agree on that one, buddy. I try to tell myself that exams don't matter, however deep down in my heart I know it does, and I get sad if I get bad grades, even if it is acceptable to other people's standards. With Regents exams coming up in about a week in the US, it's even scarier. Fail the wrong Regents even by 1 point and you may have to retake the class alongside the one after it, which increases your odds of failing both, and it's just a downward spiral. I just spent a few days reading a lot of our novel stories, a lot of which were written by a search and rescue officer. They are awesome stories BTW, but so scary I didn't dare to read anymore after sunset. Right now I'm very scared of cougars watching me through my window, encountering randomly placed stairs, and being chased by people or deer with no face. The fact that I live in the middle of a city, safely high up above the streets on the second floor, and the fact that I'd need to travel several hundreds of kms before encountering any actual forest, sadly does not help my irrational mind. Social abandonment and also being loved. Terrified of both. It's great. Irrational dolls, puppets, marionettes, practical astronomical catastrophe, planetary collision, big meteor strike, supernovae, etc. I have recurring nightmares about it. It's my biggest nope when it comes to things we can't control. Quakes, fires, blizzards, other natural disasters do not scare me nearly as much as that, even though maybe because of they are far more frequent and the threat to Earth with collision or other disaster is currently almost nothing. Almost. Not death itself, but what comes after. I'm an atheist, but I really don't want to just die and then darkness forever, or dying and then immediately getting reincarnated as someone else, with no memories of my past life nor a choice as to who I become. Now if there is an actual heaven, and that I'm allowed to go there, then that's nice and dandy, but every time I think about there may be no heaven, just eternal darkness, it scares me to a point that I start shaking, sweating, and even once with a group of friends, I just started crying. It's that bad. Living with my dad forever. If I'm not out of my childhood home by 30, I'm just gonna go ahead and off myself. Just get a job, and get another job, like about what you earn, if you have to, and set up having to leave, before you tell people, if you are scared. This assumes a lot about my situation and isn't helpful at all. What about your situation is holding you back? If you don't mind sharing, I believe you. I'm just curious. Either way, I hope you accomplish your goal. Losing the people closest to me, my parents, family members, friends, or my girlfriend. I cannot fathom life without them. Worst is when all your loved ones die and you're the only one left alive. Survivor's guilt. I think this was Tony Stark's worst fear. Good thing I don't have anyone that cares about me. Somebody does care about you. Not me, but someone. Okay, just kidding. But actually someone does care. Need help, go to a doctor or something. Getting lost at sea on my own, I guess. There is no quick way out. In case you ever get lost at sea on your own, don't drink the salt water. It'll only make things worse and speed up the process of dehydration. And keep yourself covered if possible. Sunburn is almost as bad as a lack of water, plus it rains on average once every 2 days in the ocean, so fashion some sort of water collector. I feel like I'm living in it. I have never had a good friendship last more than a year. And after that one ends I feel like I'm always scrambling to find another person that is willing to put up with me. I feel like every grade I move it is new faces, and old ones get a hello in the hallway, but that is it. I don't want to lose the friend I made this year, but I slowly feel that grip slipping. My oldest daughter's father passed away several years ago. I worry that I will die before she turns 18 and is capable of caring for herself. My husband is not her bio father and am not confident that he could care for all of the children. I worry that my kids will be split up. I told myself that I just have to survive long enough to get the youngest out of high school. Sudden death, caused by a heart attack or things like that. I'm scared of suddenly dying because I wouldn't be able to properly say goodbye to who I love or to thank them for the time we spent together. And they would just know the fact that I'm dead and they can't do nothing about it. It makes me feel really sad when I think about this. Sorry for any grammar errors. The dark. I know some of you may think it's crazy, but my mom had many boyfriends that scarred me, especially in the dark. When I was little they made fun of me, and they worked night shifts. I have a feeling that someone may come through the dark watching me. I have hallucinations that make this fear worse. I always leave a TV on to keep me feeling safe. Someone watching me. I used to be on depression medicine when I was a child. That made me hallucinate, and I would constantly see shadow people everywhere. Sometimes they would walk around and sometimes they stood there staring at me. Though I wasn't on this medicine long, to this day I still fear seeing them and constantly feel as they are still watching me. Dying. Ironic considering how often I try to end things. But when I overdosed on trazodone 2k milligrams, if anyone cares, it was the most terrifying point in my life, enough to add on to my already significant PTSD. There's something about dying that installs a primal fear into most people. Loneliness. I always feel like I'm worth nothing and no one will ever love me for who I'm. A low self-esteem. I think I've hyped up girls my entire life, but now I just feel that none of them will ever want to be in a relationship with me. Which I know is BS, but every day I still worry that I won't be loved in that way. I know someone else said this, but failure. I've lived my entire life telling myself I don't have to worry about getting an office job or paying student loans. I'll just make tons of money in the acting business, but I've realized so many people think the same thing, and it's a much tougher game than I thought. Deep down I'm afraid of any apex predator that lived through the KT extinction. Physically unchanged for 100 million years, because it's the perfect killing machine. A half ton of cold-blooded fury, the bite force of 20,000 newtons, and stomach acid so strong it can dissolve bones and hoofs. Having everyone discover the real me, I would lose everybody that I know and love, because they would not accept the true me, most likely. Losing all friends, being drastically outcasted, is also a big fear. If they won't accept you as who you are, then maybe they are not good friends. Bridges and planes. Bridges. I've almost all my life have been in fear of bridges that are 2 car lengths high off the ground, because if it breaks down, I won't have to worry about any serious injuries. Planes. Not a fear of heights, just don't fancy trusting mechanical engineering with my life. I have general anxiety disorder, so I'm afraid of being right about my anxieties. I find it reassuring when things turn out better than the anxieties I built up about them, but sometimes I'm right and the worst thing I could imagine actually happens, or things turn out worse than I imagined them. Male fitness models who post motivational quotes while shirtless on Instagram. Imagine a male fitness model charging you in a dark hallway. SCP-106 has breached containment. Couple fitness models who post motivational quotes. Wasps, hornets, and yellow jackets. Everyone else doesn't care, but why aren't they afraid of the tiny, insanely fast and aggressive insect buzzing around them that can put whatever they sting out of commission for the day pretty much? I'm freaking terrified, and I'm not even allergic. I'm afraid that at this point I'm so much behind in life that there is nothing to be salvaged. I'm a very late boomer, except without the booming part. I fear that the completely useless, incompetent and depressed state I'm in now is permanent, and this is really it. Mine is strange. Anything that I cannot fathom. If I hear or see something that I cannot understand on any level, then I start to hear a ringing noise and I will crawl on the ground and start muttering things to make the thing go away. Being forgotten. Some men and women will be remembered forever because of the things they did. But what about us? Will we just end up a skeleton 6 feet under? Who will tell our stories when your great-grandchildren forget we exist? I have 3 really bad fears. I have agoraphobia, the fear of being forgotten, replaced, emetophobia, the fear of vomiting, and haphophobia, the fear of being touched, unless it's someone amused to touching me. Someone going through my phone and finding out that I'm a libtard. I was a libtard in my 20s. Once I got away from the college bubble and started working and living in the real world, that changed. The ocean. It just goes down so deep that you're mostly in the dark. The creatures that live in the ocean can be terrifying. Only 5% of the ocean has even been explored. The ocean just really scares me. Dying in a way that involves any of the following: fire, water, suffocation, crushing. Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Just dying. Ceasing to be. My consciousness ending. Honestly, I struggle to understand how most people are able to handle it on a daily basis. It's all I can think about sometimes. Getting married, being mauled by a bear, burning babies, bugs, STDs, divorce court, false accusations of rape, hate speech, tapeworms, etc. Getting bit by a venomous animal, hence my extreme avoidance of snakes, spiders, etc. I respect their place in the ecosystem, but am not voluntarily getting within a yard of them. Current climate change and carbon pollution. The worst part is, we are already locked in for some bad stuff. The question now is, whether we can stop it from becoming full-on Mad Maximum at this point.